you're listening to the Mackay T Podcast. Here are your hosts, Brian Mackay and T Davis.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mackay T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mackay T Show.
Welcome back to the Mackay T Show podcast. See, your Lakers, they came on back. See, everybody was nervous again. Once again, they forgot what happened in the first round. You know, y'all lost to Portland in the first game, and everybody thought the walls was caving in.
Well, I think that I wasn't too concerned because now if they had lost this one, obviously going down 2-0, but they hadn't played in a while. And you always, like, you got to get a feel for, like you said, the speed or what kind of plays they running, because they ain't played Houston in a minute.
And Houston don't just play regular basketball.
Right. They are 5 out, which is, I mean, I don't know a lot of teams that even do 5 out, but 5 out usually it's like a 4 out and 1 in or something. But I feel like that's what the Warriors run, and they don't really run that 1 in. That one being Green is more of a screener passer, but he's not out on the wings. They run 5 out pretty much.
Yeah, with the 6'9" PJ Tucker at center, all 5 players can hit the three.
That's nice, and I think that like we talked about in an episode or 2 ago, everybody just seemed to be hitting everything. I don't know if this is practice. Like, I ain't never seen so many people hitting shots. Like, everybody looked like they got the cheat code for Steph Curry, and it looked like a video game. But what I didn't understand was, and I'm sure they'll talk about it in the film room, the Lakers, you got good, decent defense on a penetration, but they'll collapse. And I'm like, why are you collapsing? If you give up 2, it's fine. 3s feed their offense. So don't keep collapsing. They make a 2-point. You go down, get the ball out, and you score. But you don't want to keep giving up 3s for 2s on the other end. Because the Lakers Marquise Morris, he was a great boost. Because if he hadn't gave us that boost earlier, I don't know what would have happened. He hit like 4 threes or something crazy. And I was like, where you been? He been looking for you.
Yeah, this has definitely by far been his best game as a Laker.
Preferably he can keep it going because he was shooting 3s well when he was playing in Detroit. I think it was Detroit. And I mean, he ain't no like dead eye shooter, but he was shooting way better than he had been since he came to us. And I hope he can keep it going. I don't know what Danny Green doing. I hate his form. Like, his form is ugly. But that's neither here nor there. I just don't like how we are collapsing so much and giving help on penetration when the person, like, if they get a 2-pointer, it's better than them getting a 3. And usually they kicked it out and got a wide open 3 because we collapsing. I think too much. Sometimes Danny Green going to double. I'm like, why are you going to double? He already in the shooting motion. And then you leave PJ Tucker, let whoever penetrate and just be like, all right, we're going to give up 2. We're not going to let PJ shoot these 3s. Because what happens mentally is, yeah, you can give up 2, but PJ going to get tired of playing defense so hard and ain't getting no shots. Like, he ain't going to never say that, but subconsciously you just be like, even when you playing pickup, you're like, hold up, I ain't getting no shot. Now, PJ might have that Rodman, or what was his name that played at San Antonio? All he did was defense in 3s.
Oh goodness, I'm looking at him.
I mean, nobody even talk about him no more.
Yes, I can see
He was
his
an excellent
face.
defender, and he shot them 3-point. He ain't even been. He seemed like he was doing a little commentating for like 2 seconds, and maybe they didn't like his commentating.
Bruce Bowen.
Bruce. Yes.
Yes.
So unless you like Bruce,
As soon as you say commentating, it came to me.
yeah, I think that at some point, the longer the series goes, these other teams weren't trying to bang like that. So he gonna get physically tired. He is in PJ of Gordon the center.
An interesting stat that came out of last night. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, which combined for 60 plus, best winning percentage with a duo who scores of 60 or more points in a game. They are second on the list. Can you tell me who the first duo is? Minimum of 15 games playing together.
We talking about this year or
All time.
Kobe and
60
Shaq?
plus points. Kobe and Shaq. Very good.
Thank you. I tried.
Yes.
I tried.
Yeah. They had a 95.2 winning percentage together when scoring over 60 points. And LeBron and AD have a 94.1. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I saw that this morning on Twitter.
I'll take bubble gum for 1,000.
Oh, let's see. The other game yesterday, the Milwaukee Bucks saved their season as
I'm happy for Millsap. Was it not Millsap?
Middleton.
Middleton,
Yes.
because he just wasn't ready to go home. Even if they go home day after tomorrow, or is it today? No, they'll play day after tomorrow.
You're right.
They get a
Yeah,
rest today. Well, actually, I just play tomorrow. I keep
today will be their day of
today they'll
rest.
be their
Mhm.
rest.
Yeah, his 36 points really lifted them.
Now, what's Giannis hurt his little ankle? Did he already hurt that ankle? Or what was going on with
He
that?
has. Yeah, this is a reoccurring injury. And of course, the first thing Jalen Rose and Stephen A. Smith bring up on NBA Countdown was whether or not he should come back this playoffs. You know, they started bringing up comparisons to Grant Hill and what happened to him. And I think, and this is before the game, so I'm sure that in their mind they were thinking that Miami was just going to close it out and be done with the series. I don't know. I
All I
know that.
do know is it didn't look like he had no ankle tape on.
Mm,
So if your ankle already was hurt, it wasn't hurt too bad. It didn't even look like he had on the little sock thing I used to wear. I actually still own a pair. I ain't touched the ball and not I can't say years, months, but um, you pull it on and tie it up. He ain't look
right.
like he had on none of them either. Or the one that you kind of wrap it and you put it on. It's got the little wrap grip Velcro. So his ankle ain't hurting too bad. I don't feel no kind of way if you ain't wearing no ankle tape and you won't hurt your ankle.
When you start bringing the comparisons to Grant Hill, I think that's really an extreme case. And yes, it's sad because we don't know what would have been or could have been with Grant Hill. But yeah, and Giannis has a impending free agency that he has to think about.
Well, I brought it up the other day when somebody was at the free throw line. Who was it? Remember I talked about Grant Hill because we talked about him recently.
Yes, and
But I think you bring it up because he is
the poster
the
child.
yeah because who thought that he was gonna just never be the same?
Nobody. I mean, he literally went from that year signed with Orlando in the offseason, and I don't think he played a game that next year.
He never recovered. Um, but with Giannis, I mean, he looked like he walked off. Grant member couldn't even put no pressure to stand up at the free throw line.
Nope.
And that was my concern for that's what it was, Luka. Because Luka, when
Oh,
he
that's
shot
right.
that free throw, you knew I was like, okay, that's all because he didn't want to put no pressure. Like he wasn't putting all his pressure on balanced on his both feet because it barely hit the rim. And I was like, okay, this is coming. I'm feeling like a Grant Hill moment. I need you to sit down if you hurt. But yeah, that's what it was. Luka hurt his ankle. Yeah, the ankles are They finicky. Maybe they need to call and see who um Curry worked with. 'Cause remember he had them bum ankles. And he figured that out.
Yes, and that was one of the drawbacks on whether or not he could be a franchise player. When they traded Monte Ellis, they
But
wondered
we
if they
ain't
traded
seen
the
the
right
ankle
guard.
sprain since.
Nope.
Since he did whatever. I don't know if he went and got some steel plates put in his ankles. What? But he ain't hurt his ankle and God knows how long. No, not that I wanted to. I'm just you bring stuff up and be like, oh,
Yeah.
my bad, Steph.
The other two series going on right now, the Celtics and the Raptors are tied up 2-2. Raptors won the last two games. Yeah, they looked dead in the water when the Celtics went up 2-0.
They
And,
said not
looked
so
like,
fast, my friend.
yes, and but I mean, the Raptors just, they just stay steady. They don't change a thing. They just stay steady with their game plan, and eventually it works
They
out
just
for
need
them.
a star though. They would be winning this series if they had one.
Yeah. I
They just a
mean,
good college team. And I don't want to diminish them to a college team, but that's what I think of. Just a good core group of dudes with no superstar. They go out and run the coach's stuff.
a system that works for them, yes. Um, and the Nuggets and the Clippers. Nuggets tied up the series 1-1 with a bounce back game. It looked like if anybody that's been watching, you saw after the Nuggets closed out the Utah series in the post game interview, it was brought to Jamal Murray's attention that he only had one day off before he started against the Clippers, and he was stunned by that. And I had to chuckle because he looked foolish in the interview, like he couldn't believe that they only had one day off.
Well, he is right. I mean, I don't know what the NBA is doing. I know they trying to race to the finish line, but these one day offs have to stop. Even in the NCAA tournament, you don't do this. You have those 2 games, you win, and then you get that couple of days before Thursday come back around. Or Friday
Well,
game, whatever game. They don't even run them back to back like this. So I don't know what the NBA thinking. You need to rethink it if this happens again, because I don't know that we not gonna be in the bubble next season. So because this right here this ain't good for athletes. They're playing at that level to just get one day of rest.
yeah, I think just I don't know that I don't want to say that necessarily caused them to lose game one, but they didn't
No, it
look very
does though,
good.
Brian. You gotta think of how hard you play for 7. You played 7 games in 14 days, and you playing with everything you got. You not like people can't get rest because these games count. So there's no sitting people out and be like, okay, we can lose this one. Like you're using a lot of energy, and again, even the NCAA tournament, they don't run you like that. You had them 2 games, you win, you go home for a couple of days, and then you go to the next site or whatever, unless you host it. They don't even play every other day.
But it's gonna be interesting to see how things shake out. It's still looking like it's gonna be LA and LA if all
Yeah,
things hold. So I think that's what everybody's hoping for at least.
that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't. Hopefully, neither one of these series go to 7 because I need them both to be on full, well as full as they can be with this terrible format. Speaking of terrible formats, why wouldn't you let the coaches have a 1 or 2 guests in the bubble?
Oh, I was wondering if we was gonna bring this up, but I saw that article. Yeah,
That makes
if
no sense.
I mean, obviously the players get to have people, the referees get to bring a guest, and the coaches bring nobody. They get nobody.
Who said what? In what world does that make sense? Oh, 2020.
Yes, in the bubble.
I'm like, okay, now even if you don't want them to bring their whole family, you gave the referees a guess. Why wouldn't you give the coaches a guess?
Yeah, it just don't. I don't know. It just don't
And you
seem
talking
fair.
about what that man said 3 months or something, 2 months ain't seen his wife or kids. But I mean, besides video chat or whatever,
Right.
man,
Which
that's
at the end of the day
unacceptable.
is just not the same. I
Huh?
mean, it's nice to have in the moment, but it's just not the same.
Well, I meant Brian. It's better than it would have been in 1999
Oh, I completely agree.
because we talked about this before. No, and no, veterans. I'm not trying to diminish what you do, but it's like when people go to the military, that's all they have. So it can be done. People do it. There are people doing it now. Thank you, soldiers, people that's willing to go to other countries to fight for our freedoms. But in this instance, they don't have to be done since you letting other guests. Can you imagine if the soldiers could have like somebody fly over to visit them, and then they tell like the higher ups, like the generals and stuff, no, y'all can't have nobody to come over. They be like, what? We got to keep morale high. What? Anyway.
Well, I really don't have a great transition for
But
our
well, what's
next.
going on with college football? Because somebody sent me this whole thing with what's the dude, Kurt Herbstreit, maybe crying about,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was like, bruh,
he did a very he got real emotional
I
on
didn't know
game
if he
day.
was crying for real or for fake or what was going on because this
I
has been
did.
happening. This ain't new. So how? What made you have some epiphany, Mister Herbstreit?
I don't know. I didn't see it live, but I
I
saw the
didn't either.
video
Somebody sent
like
me the
you.
video.
So yeah, he just got choked up in the middle of talking about everything that's been going on.
So what are
And
they talking about? Not doing the season, doing it? What?
no, he just was talking about the social justice situation in our
Because two
country. And
seconds ago, coaches and all was like, "Oh, these players need to play because sending them home will be worse." And I'm like, "Okay, so you know that these young men are in not good living situations, but you want to keep them there so you can make money and so the school can make money, but you don't want to pay them, nor do you want to fight or use your voice to make their communities better." Hmm. Interesting.
yeah, I think the Big Ten and the Pac-12 fixing to have a time. They already have it. It's already here, but I think it's fixing to really amp up. They're fixing to have some trouble their way because it
What you
looks
mean?
like those.
They
I
got
mean,
some people sick.
those players are really wanting to. That those two conferences are actually have actually canceled their season or moved it to the spring, but it's eventually gonna get canceled because I don't think anything in the spring is fixing to happen. Especially if the
Well, what the
SEC and
players gonna do?
they've come out with a coalition of different athletes and trying to
I would not be responsible for putting you in harm's way because nobody's got a bubble for them. Even these teams that's talking, unless I'm missing something. I ain't seen nobody talking about they don't put their kids in bubble,
no.
that they testing every day or every other day for that matter. And none of this. Now y'all get out there and be like these people that's having these funerals and weddings, and then the next thing you know, people dying and people popping up with it left and right. I I can't.
It's gonna be interesting to see what the NFL does. Their season kicks off this week, so see how well they handle their situation as far as what college football can do in a couple of weeks. Um,
Well, okay.
yeah.
Good luck.
Well, let's see. We
So did you
teased
come
it
up with
last week.
your movies? I meant
Yes,
biopics,
the top five,
biopics, whoever it
our
is.
our top five biopics. Yeah, I actually did a little deep dive.
Okay, somebody. Okay, go ahead. You
No,
supposed to
go
be.
ahead.
No, you trying to do homework. You just supposed to come up with them. Go.
Oh no, I did, but I tried it. I had to
You
do a little.
cheated, Brian. It sounds like you
No,
cheated.
I
Yeah.
had to because I didn't want. I wanted to try and get
Y'all hear that, didn't
5.
you? He said no. I had to. See, that didn't get by my ears. That didn't. Go ahead.
No, see, the reason I did a little deep dive was trying to come up with 5 that maybe so we didn't get the same ones because me and you think too much alike.
That's fine if we got the same ones. Great minds think alike. It's all good.
So, do you want to go first?
Nah, I want to hear these ones that you got the special lookups that you did, the homework that you did.
Okay, I picked mine based on I tried to do different little categories. Tried to do one sport, one music, one whatever,
Yeah.
and wound up doing a couple of sports. But it is what it is. But also the ones that I know I could just pull up and watch, and put in and watch it over and over and over again. So and I haven't broke down by year, which
Oh Lord.
just
See, now
that
you
was just something I
went
did
too
this
far.
morning. It wasn't something I planned on. I just
Y'all hear this, people?
yeah. So anyway, my first one is Brian's Song from 1971, the movie about Brian Piccolo and his battle with cancer, the Chicago Bears running back, his friendship with Gail Sayers. Um, this was a movie I've watched, ever since I was little. So never even got to see these two play, obviously, because I was too young. But watching them back in highlights and knowing this story, it was pretty. It's always a pretty good movie to me. My next one is Remember the Titans.
Okay.
Denzel going, as Herman Boone, T.C. Williams coach, in the integrated school. One of my all-time favorites. Now, obviously, there's 1,000 articles out there about the actual accuracy of the movie, but that doesn't really mean that much to me. The story is what it is. Third is Ali, Will Smith, with the life story of Muhammad Ali. Uh, was that the first? Was one of the first big roles Jamie Foxx had? I know he had some movies before that, but I want to say like
Jamie been in a lot of movies.
he has. I don't want to put that out there
I
and be
don't know.
wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah. But let's see. My next one, Aaron Brockovich. Julia Roberts plays paralegal Aaron Brockovich, and she goes after the gas and electric company that has contaminated the water in that small town and caused a bunch of illnesses. If I'm telling you, Julia Roberts deserves all the awards for that movie, because if that's really how that woman was, she played her perfectly.
Great. Now
My next one,
pull that
speaking
one
of
up.
Jamie Foxx, Ray, his Oscar-winning performance, I thought he was, just about as brilliant as he could be in that, in that movie, and the fact that I actually was inches away from being able to reach out and touch him at a New Orleans Hornet game. They were the Hornets then. When he was filming that movie, he would show up at the Hornets games a lot, and I was at one of the games that he was there, and I was so close to reaching out and touching. But that's another story. But anyway, and my my last one is Social Network, story of Mark Zuckerberg and his founding of Facebook. Yeah. So that's my 5.
Well, I think I did not. We weren't on the same page as to why I wanted to do it. I think I was trying to say, great people who did the role so well that you couldn't tell.
Oh, you went by the act out. You know
Yeah,
what?
because I was like,
That
well, Ray was one of mine because Jamie Foxx sure did make you forget it was Jamie Foxx on the screen.
okay. You know what?
My other one, and this is I just teeter between. It's like 1 and 1A. Man, Tina Turner. When Angela Bassett did Tina Turner,
yes.
I mean, she had everything down. And then here come Chadwick and James Brown, and I was like, what? Like you couldn't even tell. Like if you didn't know them people, you'll be like, oh, this some footage y'all done found from Tina, James, and Ray. Now I don't know what the person that when what's his name did Philadelphia. I don't know what but emotionally, you felt for the person with the AIDS story, Philadelphia,
Yes,
that old
yes.
movie. That was it Tom Hanks? I can't
Tom
remember.
Hanks and Denzel. Yes.
Um, but yeah, I think I messed that up.
No, you
That's what I
didn't.
was
No, I
going for
did.
because I don't know. Huh?
Because we talked about it last week. We did, and that's on me because we talked about Get On Up and Chadwick's portrayal. Yeah, it's
So
on
yeah,
me.
so those are good. Those that you picked were good. Um,
And somewhat close to what you wanted, but
what I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised.
I don't know who.
Who's just a a real story?
It was based on a real, yeah.
Okay, when they say based on, you know it don't.
All right.
Anyway, so
Fabrications were abound.
so y'all send us some of y'all favorites, but
Yeah, send us to the Mac letter N T show at gmail.com. You'll find that in your description bar at the bottom of this episode, wherever you are listening. And also all our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter, all down at the bottom of this episode.
so yeah, you had it's a story about a kid that went to, and I just happened upon this. He went to uh was it Kentucky or UT? He wanted to play football there. Wound up being a great dog, I wish I could think of the name of it. Because that story, I don't know if that guy was like the guy, but uh he went he, from a little small town. They kept telling him he was too small to be a offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. He put on all this weight because he just was determined to make the team. And he went to be a walk on. He wound up being a starter. Is this not ringing a bell? You might not have seen it.
What how old is the movie?
It's not that old. It might be 3 or 4 years old.
Life on the Line.
Um,
Let's see.
was it
Oh no. That's not
because they
same kind.
beat Florida? Is it UT that he played for? Because they beat Florida. Um, uh, now
Oh, okay, wait a minute. You
I'm
talking
gonna
about
have
the
to
boy that went to Arkansas.
Arkansas. That I think that was
Yes.
it.
Yes, he played for
Era,
Houston.
Kansas.
He played for Grader, I think is the name of the movie. Played for the played for Houston Nutt at Arkansas.
And so he walked on, and that's a good movie.
Brandon
Uh,
Burlsworth.
yes, good movie.
I've
And the
seen that.
sad
Yes.
part, well, if you ain't, the spoiler alert.
Hmm.
Okay, he was great, and then they was like, why can't he block? Like he was blocking, and then they found out he needed glasses, and then he had these real thick, black and white. I don't even know. They might have been goggles. They didn't seem to be goggles. Man, they put them glasses on him. He started blocking amazingly, became All American, then was killed in a car accident.
Yes, and he was a
He was
walk
on his
on.
way to being an NFL pick. Was killed in a car accident. Um, but it was a good story, and that guy seemed to have done a good job with the part. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know who Brandon Bosworth was,
Right.
but yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong list though.
How about the Tenant? Did it come out? How did it come out? Did it come out in the movies? What?
It's in theaters now. They came out like probably a couple of weeks ago when the theaters started just opening pretty much everywhere.
Well, I thought this was the first weekend, but they said it made $20 million.
Yeah, it's doing decently well. I mean, I think
But what
everybody
what
kind of
did
got.
Mulan do?
I don't know. I have not seen the numbers
Oh.
on this video on demand release, but they sure asking a lot for it.
So you sound like somebody else that I know, and I say you have to remember,
But
you can
yeah,
get
yeah,
that for
yeah.
$30. You and all the babies, your mom
Yes.
and dad, all them can watch it. All of y'all could never go to the movies for $30.
Nope. You all right.
You can get,
That's
you can have your whole popcorn and everything.
and that's why Bubba purchased it.
See, so $30 is not bad when everybody can find a way to socially distance and watch it.
I know my
So,
brother's child really loved the cartoon version, so and so I had to
well, I don't think they
definitely had to
might
get
not
it.
like this one because they may not recognize it because the music is gone.
Oh
Which I
no,
said that when I envisioned it, I was like, they don't need all that singing. Somebody else was like, no, it's a I was like, nope, they don't need all that singing. It's one of the few Disney movies that would translate over to a movie that you don't need to do the singing
that is
just
true.
because of the story. But the Tenant apparently made $100 million internationally, so they doing pretty good.
Which means we're not gonna get Black Widow till November. They're not gonna bring it out video on demand because if they're waiting to see how these movies do to start off the opening of theaters before they decide
Well,
to do what to do with Black Widow. So
yeah, according to Variety, Tenet crossing 100 million internationally.
good for John David Washington,
Yeah. Uh what's his name, boy?
Denzel boy.
That's Denzel boy. It
All
did what
right,
happened to I know we gotta move on. What happened
hold
to
on.
what was that Ballers? Did that just
It
end?
the
Or
final season ended
how many did they make? 3? 4?
4 or 5. I want to
Oh, they
say
went
5.
5? Ooh, I ain't seen
I
number
could be
1.
wrong. I could. It's either 4 or 5.
Yeah, after the first one that you got for me, I ain't seen nothing else. But
You
anyway.
didn't miss a whole lot.
Well, thank you for
Uh,
sharing. That's good to know.
the last season, it had a point, but
Mm.
it didn't go along. I think when they moved out of Miami, it really kind of took it away
Oh, they
from me.
left Miami. Well, I
Yes.
think the problem is they probably did what and I own a DVD cassette. Um, remember HBO had that show. Now I want to pull out this box and I don't want to take this stuff off of here. They had the football show, the older football running back.
Hmm.
Um, he won the Oscar for Show Me the Money. His brother's in it. Uh, who was in with Regina King was his wife
Oh,
and
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. But what's the black running the wide receiver's name? His government name, not that role.
Oh, Cuba Gooding Jr.
Cuba's brother. Cuba's brother
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
is the
yeah, yeah,
running
yeah,
back in this one. I
yeah.
want to say
Gosh,
HBO had it.
I can't think of the name of the
And it
movie.
was too
The show.
realistic and they kicked it off. They was like, they was like,
Yeah.
no, y'all can't have this out here.
Well, I know the next to last season, they spent the whole season trying to save the Raiders.
Playmakers.
Playmakers. Yes, yes.
That was a good show because that had like the whole Cuba's the running back was a drug head. The dude was kind of abusive. He didn't really try to hit her, but I was like, bro, you shouldn't. You was being way too aggressive. None of this would have happened. Remember, she hurt her wrist. The husband, um, the flirting uh
Man, I ain't seen that show in a minute.
journalist. Oh yeah, so I'm going too far because I
No, no, you fine. I was sitting there just thinking back on it.
the
But
white
yeah,
guy that was
Ballers.
same gender loving man and was trying to hide it.
Oh yeah.
Remember, he was dating the girl, but he would always have a excuse when she would want to have sex.
Yes,
So
yes,
I was just
yes.
like, they had everything, and it was hot and spicy. And they was like, y'all take this off of the, y'all not ruining our brand with this. Take it off.
Yeah. So I don't know. The Ballers, the last two seasons were like, eh. I mean, the season before last, they spent the whole season trying to save Oakland, trying to save the Raiders in Oakland.
Oh,
And I think I actually wound up doing it, but it made no sense because in real life,
they gone to
Oakland
Vegas.
was still going to Las Vegas. But yeah. And in the last season, he was trying to get a team in Las Vegas. So it was weird.
See, they should get people like us to come on and help them write some of this stuff. And
And
we'll
he
be
was
like, no, that's just dumb.
trying to be an owner, and they kept trying to block him from being an owner in the league,
Yeah, that's
uh,
just dumb.
and they gave you a little bit about his brother and his background, but which was cool to see, because they hint on it, the first couple of seasons, but never really get into it, or why he's taking the pills and everything,
Hmm.
and his addiction to that, and how his brother died basically the same kind of way, and they finally get into that a lot, which was decent. But
Well,
yeah,
they sound like it was too one dimensional. Like again, I think one of the parts that you like about Playmakers, there were the core story, like it was about the core, a couple of core characters, but you got to see the quarterback who was
you have all
Horace.
them branches.
Yes.
Yeah.
um, you got to see the assistant coach who was sneaking, trying to take the coach's job. I think he was an offensive coordinator. Remember, the coach was sick. He was
Mm.
going behind his back, talking to the general manager, all kinds of stuff. So I think that was one of the appealing things about it, that it gave us different angles and perspective. You had the um the manager. I think he was like a team manager. Remember, he didn't really, he wanted to be more of a coach or something, but he was running around getting the quarterback women and all that other little stuff. And so they showed a lot of different angles and what be going on behind the scenes. Come on back, playmakers. I don't know, y'all. I think y'all have a better chance in this day and age for not getting kicked off because y'all was too close to the truth.
So are we prepared and ready for Bible study?
Well, this time for Bible studies, brought to you by the BIBLE.
Oh my goodness.
I think I'm gonna get me some Bible study music
Yes, that would be
with the
hilarious.
church organ. I need to talk to my sibling and tell them that I need the Bible study music, and that I don't know how they gonna record it. I think they got rid of their keyboard. I'm talk to them, see what they can do. All right, so we are talking today about hostile work environments. So the employer, Saul, King Saul, that is, he's a new king. So I I don't know how much of this we're gonna hold against him, but I think we're gonna hold it all against him. The employer, David, little young David. Now, in the beginning, what's the word? Okay, no, that's not it. That's not what we're
And the
doing.
word was
The word was with God, and the word was God, and the word became flesh. So, so what do you do when your boss despises you? Now, when we first see these two individuals or meet these people, Saul has become a new king. He out looking for some lambs or sheep or something that don't ran off from the house, and Samuel meet him and be like, okay, God gonna make you king. Now, Saul is a good looking dude, and he's apparently very tall because they said he was like taller than a foot or something crazy taller than the rest of the people. So he kind of stand out anyway. So, but when they meet, Samuel Saul has become king. He has dropped the ball and did not do what he was told to do in this war, and so the Lord, like, you know what, you can't be king. You're not listening. You can't follow instructions. Samuel, tell him it's over. So then he started getting these distressing spirits, and he needs some help. And somebody like, oh, I know this kid named David. He over Jesse's boy. He over he just in the fields. He be playing his lyre, or some people might call it a harp, and he really good at it. Let's bring him in. They're like, yeah, let's bring him on in. So David comes and to Saul and he played a lyre for him, and it goes really well, and the spirit leads, and he's like, well, yes, let's keep him here. Let's keep him. And so that's when we first meet him. David is all good in Saul's eyes. He like it. So then, interestingly enough, I don't know, he had made him his armor bearer some kind of way. And maybe just wanted to keep him around. But in verse 22 of chapter 16 of First Samuel, or verse 21, David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. So he gets the job. Now he working for Saul full on, and Saul got high praises for him. And like I said, he played the harp or the lyre, and the distress and spirit go away, and everything good. David good on his job. Rah rah, we like David. So then later on in life, don't know how much time passed, but chapter 17, Saul got a problem. You know what that problem is? It's this dude named Goliath down here. They at war. And everybody's scared to go down there and fight this dude because he probably is like, if you imagine, like, if you've ever met like somebody like Shaq, you can see how big when these people, when they talking about how tall he was, I can imagine somebody that size.
Yeah, because Shaq not just tall.
He's
Shaq
a
huge.
very large individual.
Yeah.
So they scared, and now you got all this armor and all on him, and he just like, I'm not going down there. Like, he want to do hand-to-hand combat, and it's just like, so now Saul got a problem. Like, who I'm gonna send down here to fight this dude so I can win this war? Well, here come David. You know what? I'll do it. He ain't gonna be disrespectful to my God if he talking all crazy. And his brother's like, "What you doing here, David? You ain't even supposed. You supposed to be at home with sheep." Now, mind you, Daddy had sent David down there to the war to take his brothers them some bread, and he just don't got into some other mischief and wind up fighting Goliath. Well, there was really no fight. It was like a 2-piece and a biscuit, because he hit him with that rock in the sling,
Yes. And then
and
slice him with
down
the sword.
goes Goliath.
Goliath.
Down goes
Yes.
Goliath. Now,
Down
interesting
goes
story.
Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
I think that and everybody should go to YouTube, put in, oh man, this man's name just jumped out of my head. David and Goliath is a story told by, hold on, I'm about to pull it up. Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell tells
Okay.
a story, and how most people think this kind of fake, but actually there were people, and this was no slingshot like we think of with the rock and the thing that you pull back. Like, there were people that could throw that slingshot like and make that rock go fast as a bullet. So actually, this likely happened.
Wow.
Yes, he tells a great story of like that there are people that actually and could throw it with accuracy. Um, so anyway, back to the core of our story. So David solves a problem at work, and he solves a problem, and now the Philistines are like, okay, we scared of Israel, so they, after he beat him up, well, not beat him up, that one hitter, and cut his head off, and like, all right, here, that problem solved. So if we thinking like everything good, but interestingly enough, and I don't know if you found this to be interesting. What? Why Saul act like he ain't know the boy?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, I
whose
noticed. I
son is
noticed
this?
that.
I was like,
Yeah.
excuse me, sir. This young man been playing. Every time you get a distressing, this the same guy that's been playing this
He
live for
been
you,
soothing your soul
right? And
with
you
that
talking
heart.
about who is it? And so I
You
was like,
know.
okay. So see how easily you forget the little
Mm-hmm.
people, the people you don't need, and that's how it become a hostile work environment. But it's gonna be more. But you start forgetting the little people, the janitors of the world, and all them, and all the stuff that they do for you to make sure this whole process work and we functioning well. So I when I meet a Bible scholar, by the way, I'm not a Bible scholar. These are just my thoughts on these and Brian's So don't be contacting us saying us how wrong we are, because I didn't go to theological school for this. I just read the Bible and I find this
Everybody can interpret it their only way, and
right. So you can
yes,
take this or leave it. Yeah, whose son is this? And then it's like I was like, how soon we forget? So by 1 Samuel 18, now we're about two chapters deep. Now again, when we read these, we don't know how much time is passing, because I didn't go to
right.
theological school, and I ain't never heard no pastor talk about how much time passed between these. But now David is staying with Saul, and he like, okay, you my guy. um and he bragging about him, because you helped him win this fight, this battle. So this making the Saul the king look good. And so he liked David so much that he put David over his man of war. So now David got a promotion. He was an armor bearer. Now he over the man of war. So David moving up. He like him. Everything copacetic. But then there's trouble in the water. Uh, and it happened kind of fast, because by verse 7 of chapter 18, the women are singing, Saul has slain his 1,000 and David has slain his tens of thousands, and the water started to bubble.
That jealousy is bubbling
The
up to the
green-eyed
surface.
monster. Yeah, the
Yes,
green-eyed monster show up, and in the blink of an eye, Saul is not only angry, verse 8 say very angry. uh and things start to go downhill for David from there. Now David ain't did nothing. He ain't had nothing to do about these women in the break room gossiping about how he did this for the company and how he saved the company, and none of that. He ain't had nothing to do with that. But yeah, Saul didn't care. Would you
how
like
do
to add
you
anything? I'm going on. Would you
how
like
do
to
you
add
deal
something?
how do you deal with a problem that get you all hot and bothered? You send him off to war. You
So
send him to the
right.
front line. Get him
So
killed.
David got the Employee of the Year award, and Saul didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so much so, he tried to have David killed. So he
Yes.
say, first he say, David, come play for me. And he just try to throw an arrow at him. He just right. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, you just blatantly just showing this, like, I don't like you and I want you out of here. So he just do something blatant to try to get David fired, quote unquote, killed. Um, so by verse 12, uh Saul is afraid of David, um because now he know the Lord's spirit has departed from him, and he probably can see the writing on the wall that David is probably gonna be next in line, um
To take his
taking
spot.
taking his job, and he ain't happy about it. And
So he
so
just starts throwing daughters at him.
yeah, and so um
Watch
But
that
the
later.
thing
Wait a
is,
minute.
all of Israel and Judah love David, so he's not only getting love from like the women out in the street singing, or at the water cooler singing, like Israel and Judah, like everybody's starting to like David, and so the streets are talking and everybody talking about David, and nobody's talking about him, and he ain't really happy about it. So um he tried to set David up for failure. He like, okay, so you know what? I'll give you my daughter if you go out here and kill 100 of these Philistines,
And
um,
he just keeps
and bring
knocking
me
them
back,
down.
bring back proof, and I'll give you my daughter. You can marry her.
Right.
So he like, okay, good. You gonna make me part of the family? That work. I'll bring back 200, 200 dead skins. And I was like, this kind of gross. If that's what I think it is,
The foreskin, yes.
yeah. I was like, this kind of gross, but we ain't gonna talk about the grossness of this. He said, bring back 200. So I was like, okay. Got back to it. Dog, I didn't get him. Shoot. I was hoping that set up would be a part of his downfall. So um so the streets talking again, like, oh, he done outdone himself. Look at him go. And so um I don't know if David knew, and I guess if I was a biblical scholar, I could tell from like some of his writings in Psalms or whatever. Like, 'cause he talk about a lot of this, what he was going through dealing with Saul in Psalms and all. So I don't know if he talk about that in Psalm or what, but dealing with this.
Yeah, I don't,
When he be talking about my enemies came against me, they stumbled and fell, but I don't know that he talk about Saul too.
I don't know that he was necessarily specifically mentioning Saul, but yeah,
So David out here with no idea this man is out to get him. Besides the fact that he had that one episode where he threw the thing, and maybe you're like, oh, it's probably because of the whole spirit thing, and something came over him, and that's why he threw that spear and tried to kill me. He really ain't trying to kill me, because
he
he don't
just had
offer me.
a bad spiritual moment. He just needed a
Yeah,
little harp music, just a
he
little
already
harp.
done gave me his his daughter and all, and he ain't mean nothing by that. That was just a slip up.
Right.
So um soon it becomes clear that David is trying to kill Saul, and he don't like him, and he don't want to keep this job, because by verse 19, Saul is openly trying to kill him. And now they out here just eating, and Saul throws something at him at the table in front of everybody. And that's just like, okay, you really bold about this. And so, which I failed to say earlier, David even has a good relationship with Saul's son, Jonathan. Like, they
Yes.
love each other. They great friends. They make covenants together and everything. And so David is just like, hey, bro, can you see what's up with your daddy? Like, well, I ain't done nothing to him. Why he tripping? He's like, he get like that sometimes. Let me find out. I'm gonna do some investigation to see if he really trying to kill you or not. So they had this whole thing where Jonathan go and see, like let me look into some of my daddy's records and see what's going on, if he really trying to get you fired from this job or not. So he find out, yep, yeah, my dad trying to kill you, bro. I'm gonna shoot this arrow, and I'm gonna tell this kid to go get these arrows. and and if I shoot this arrow far off and I say certain things, you know that you need to run for your life. So Jonathan trying to help David, but to no avail. Um, so David is kind of stuck in this hostile working environment for years, but he doesn't leave. Um, and he didn't try to take Saul's job or his life. If we're talking about what actually would probably happen.
Hmm.
So he didn't try to take his job, which he could have, because if all of Israel and Judah loved him, the women out singing, he could have probably had a hostile takeover. But um, he
Yeah,
know
he had
he'll be
everything in his order. He could have been the next king.
and right, because we already know that Samuel has come in chapter 16 and anointed him when when the Lord told Samuel, like, okay, I'm gonna have a new king. You remember he poured that oil, and it came out on David. All them other
Hmm.
brothers, it didn't. So
Yeah,
he
it
he
passed
knows
right
he's gonna
on
be
by them.
king, but he don't jump the gun. Um, which is a cautionary tale about waiting on God's time, and not doing dirt for dirt. So you might be in a hostile work environment, and it may not be at this hostile, but don't be trying to jump the gun and leave too soon, or try to take somebody else's spot, um, because you're the new hot thing. Wait for God's timing, and eventually Saul dies at war, and David does become the king. And even then, he don't brag and boast. You about to say something?
Oh no, no.
Oh, even then, he don't brag or boast about the fact that he about to be the man. Because remember when I don't know if you read this far, but when they had gone to war, and Saul had fallen something had happened, and he had told Saul had told the young man, like, kill me because I don't want them to kill me. And the young kid go back to David and kind of was like, I killed him. No, he said Saul is dead, and he like, how do you know? He's like, I killed him. He told me to kill him, and he was like, how you dare you lay hands on God's anointed and all that? Which I was like, why did you kill that boy? Like, he just did what that man asked him. But anyway,
He didn't want to be killed by the enemy. He wanted someone.
Right, but then David killed the kid for doing what the man asked him to do, which
which is really like his one and only in this whole little story. I mean,
well, in this part of the story, because remember we just talked
Yeah.
about David and Bathsheba, but go ahead.
And
And Uriah.
in this particular section, it's almost this really his one and only misstep, because everything else, he's like
Right,
the
he
golden
is.
boy.
Yes, because he had
Pristine
a bunch of times that he could have killed Saul. Saul was coming
Yes.
for him with everything he had. I mean, the work environment got so bad that even when David left the job, Saul was still coming to his other like trying to come for him.
Right.
Hunting him down, looking for him in Caves Mountain, killing priests, having priests killed, which I was just like, you just don't went way out here or left. When he had them priests killed because they had gave him the showbread and the Goliath sword and all that other stuff, and I was just like, and that might not have been all the same. I think that all happened around the same time when they told them to slaughter the priests, and I was like, or the prophets. Then I think no, they might have been priests because that one person was like, no, bro, I ain't about to be putting my hands and kill no priest. Anyway, so if you are in a hostile work environment, just think of David and remember your gifts will make room for you.
Once again, another situation I never realized played out like that in the Bible. It's something that we're still dealing with today in 2020.
Yep, hostile work environments and haters on your job. That's just a thing that some of us, thankfully, I ain't had to deal with that too much.
So what's next coming from the BIBLE?
Bible stories. Next on Bible stories from the BIBLE, the other woman.
Oh boy.
Yes, the other woman. The Lord gave this to me in the shower.
Oh.
I was like, oh, we can do that. I got a several other ones, but we're gonna do the other woman.
And what's our reading material for our listeners?
We'll be coming from Genesis 29, Genesis 21, 1 Samuel 1.
Yes, indeed.
That was Bible Stories brought to you by the BIBLE.
L.E. That was yeah, I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Yeah, wait till you see these other women.
The other one.
The other woman. Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope everybody has a blessed Labor Day. And as always, thank you for listening. Oh, Power Book 2 Ghost came out this weekend. First
It
episode.
did?
Yes.
Did you watch it?
Yes.
What happened? We can talk about it after air.
Yeah, we'll talk about it and we'll get it deep dive into it next week. But yeah, I think it's gonna be good. Now, Power always does this deal where they pack a lot in on the first episode and pack a lot in on the season finale, and everything else is just really good storytelling and filler. And so that's what they did. They packed a lot because they got to introduce a lot of different characters,
Right.
and they packed a lot in. And Mary J. Blige, if she could just
Right.
find the right role to get her an Oscar, this she might have found the right role to get her a what's TV what's
Emmy.
Emmy. Yes, my mind went blank, but yes, she might be on her way to an EGOT because this role here, she looked like she was born to play.
She don't got something for a Tony Award.
Listen, I said she was on her way to an EGOT.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I was like, well, when she do some theater work? Okay, go, my bad. I know she would have a Grammy. My bad.
I just put her in the theater somewhere. But
Okay.
no, she's looked like she was born to play Monet, and we'll get into more of her role and what I think is gonna happen with this season. But,
Well, speaking of that young man that he gonna be the lead character now because Ghost was the lead in that other one.
Yes, Michael Rainey Jr., Tariq St. Patrick.
Tariq, I just saw Tariq in something. I was like, Lord, look at Tariq.
You talking about the Netflix, the basketball movie?
He was in not All American. Well, it's a basketball, yeah. Not
Yes.
All American. What's the name of it?
I can't.
Anyway, I saw him and I was like, oh. And then I think of you as Ghost Boy, and I'd be just like, I want to slap him. He is his character, not him. His character is so annoying. But yes, go ahead. Let's close it out, and then we can talk.
Yes. Well, as always, I am one of your hosts, Brian McKay, and I am with
T. Keep Hope Alive, Davis.
And this has been the Mac T Show podcast. Thank you for listening. You can listen to the Mac T Show podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify.
What time is it?
Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel.
What time is it?
Please be sure to follow our show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Mac T Show. That's at TheMacTShow at the Mac T Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to get all the updates and different things that might be happening with our podcast. You can email the show at the Mac T Show.
What time is it?
That's the Mac N.
What time is it?
At gmail.com.
This is the Mac T Show. This is the Mac T Show. We talk movies and TV shows, sports and world news, coasting like on a world cruise. Hosted by Brian McKay and T Davis. Yeah, you can't tame us. We go on to the top, we're becoming famous.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mac T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mac T Show.